Sports.
Figure it out, Christensen, joining us right now in a full-on fist fight with her camera.
Is she winning?
I don't know. It's Kayte and technology. It's some of the best fights you'll ever see. It's like Hadley Hearns. But yeah, it's like Lyle's Giannis. Thank you, Jay. But we are just so happy to have, she's joining us on camera today. And for that, I'm going to be 100% nice because we just appreciate the effort. The analyst for your Sacramento Kings, Kayte
Christensen.
Grateful.
By the way, this is why I never do the video. You're going to find a way. First of all, do you remember when I filled in for Jason when he was on vacation and we tried to do the Kevin Herter interview and I realized that my browser is not supported by StreamYard thing?
Yes, I do.
That is why I'm on my camera on my phone instead. So I apologize for not meeting your lofty standards.
No, it looks, Jason, it's a clear picture. We were just laughing because it looked like it kept falling down.
Well, I was trying to flip it so that I could use my stand. Obviously, it's the phone, not the computer. It's a little bit harder.
Yes.
But anyway, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Jason, as always, take control if you would. We'll just do this for an hour.
Kayte, we were just talking to Kevin Herter. He was great. He's looking forward to this matchup tonight. But he was talking about how he felt that last game. They already watched the film against Milwaukee in the last 3 minutes, maybe 3 to 6 minutes lack of execution. But overall, they were really, really strong. And I feel like every game they keep playing, they're proving more and more to us on a daily basis that they belong as one of the league's better teams. What did you learn about the Kings, let's say, in this 3-game stretch of the Knicks, the Suns, and then the most recent loss to the Bucks?
Well, I learned that our expectations should probably be a little bit higher for them, right? Like I keep going back to the beginning of the season where I know that everybody going into the season was like, we can get into the play-in and then maybe the playoffs. And that was legitimately what people were, hoping for. And maybe we can get that 6th seed, right? Like that's if you had really, really kind of high expectations. But this team is better than we thought they were going to be. And they've gotten better as the season has gone on. And what I've seen really from the All-Star break on has been far exceeding anything I ever expected. So when you look at the game against Milwaukee, they made the Kings pay for their mistakes down the stretch, and they made them pay for like every single mistake. So it's about recognizing that when you're playing against teams of that caliber and when you're playing playoff basketball and you're in the postseason, like you cannot expect for those mistakes not to be capitalized on a regular basis by the other team. But I'll be honest, I think the biggest thing like that, I'm sure you guys have talked a lot about the fight. That showed me a lot. I mean, it really, really did. And again, like I don't condone fighting, but the way that I saw it is that Giannis was kind of being a little bit chippy and he was, dribbling in front of Trey and Trey had none of it. And I totally expect Brooke Lopez to step in there. I don't know what was said, but what I saw after that and just having each other's back and having that fight and wanting to stick up for yourself, right? And not being kind of the joke of the NBA in the sense of, teams are just going to come in here and punk you. You're not going to get punked, okay? So to me, maybe that's the most important thing that I saw was just, hey, we're ready for the challenge ahead.
Kayte Christensen joining us, Kings, Bulls, 5 o'clock tonight. I was saying earlier, Kayte, that the Bucks, the Sixers, and the Celtics are 3 teams as a Kings fan that scare me, that I think 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, would beat the Kings in a 7-game series. But what they've shown me is I don't see that with any team in the Western Conference. Agree, disagree, add or subtract a team?
Bucks, Sixers, Celtics, yes, because I think the crazy thing about them is just their defense, right? That's what's so different. It's almost like the Eastern Conference plays an entirely different brand of basketball than the Western Conference. And I think we're so used to seeing all these teams in the Western Conference that are fast paced. And yeah, there's good defenses in the Western Conference, but nothing that is comparable to what you see in the Eastern Conference, and it's just different. So those three teams specifically, yes. I'm not really sure what's going on with Boston. Boston's on a little bit of a skid right now. They're not playing at the level that they've been playing at consistently for, the majority of the season. The 76ers, their defense is the scariest thing. And then to me, Joel Embiid is so good, and he has definitely got to be one of the front runners for MVP. And the way that he impacts the game on both ends, it just makes them that much better. So this game against Boston is going to be interesting because we've had a couple doozies there in Boston the last couple years, and I would like to see some of that righted here in Sacramento when they return.
Katie, what are your expectations for the matchup tonight with Chicago?
I think coming off that game against the Bucks, I think, and kicking off this road trip, I think it's really, really important for them to get out to a good start. But Boston also has been a little bit of Chicago has been a little bit of a disappointment. They've had injuries. And that can always be a little bit dangerous because sometimes, even though you're not consciously doing it, you kind of overlook a team. But that is an amazing arena to play in. So I'm just hoping that they come out and they do the little things that are really, really important. They're going to have to rebound really well against this team. I would like to see their assists be over 30. I can't believe that they won a game having a season low in assists 2 games ago. I mean, that was like, wow, and that just shows you that they were having to create a lot of their own offense. And that's when you're facing some of these better defenses, you're not getting those open looks. You're having to put it on the deck and create for yourself. And that's where sometimes it can get a little bit, questionable of the quality of shots you're going to get. So overall, Jason, I think I want to see a really good response after, a loss against the Bucks that I would say is a good loss. It's kind of weird to say that, but they played extremely well. There was a couple things that went wrong down the stretch. I want to see those things that they know that those are important and that they eliminate a few of those.
Katie, over the last, 72 hours, it's been almost a national media coming out. You had Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo spend the first 10 minutes of their podcast talking about, are the Kings a real threat to come out of the Western Conference? You had Kendrick Perkins saying he thinks the Kings are going to the NBA Finals. You had Michael Wilbon call that Bucks-Kings game a 9.5 out of 10 between two elite teams, and he'd love to see them in the finals. And there's a few more examples. Katie, do players care about that?
I don't think generally that they do overall. If I had to venture a guess for this team, it would be a big no. And I think part of the reason that is because, it's hard for me because this is a different day and age than when I was playing, right? Social media wasn't a thing. There weren't podcasts. We weren't doing radio interviews on video, and it wasn't being, fed out to everywhere in the world after that. Like, it was very insular, right? And so I would venture to guess that this team in this day and age, guys are so used to kind of the constant chatter. I think Mike Brown is the type of coach that really is going to be like, don't listen to the noise. Don't listen to the outside chatter. Because you don't want them to feel too good about themselves, if that makes sense to you. You don't want them to get too high. You don't want them to get too low. You want to keep them focused on, every day we got to get a little bit better. Every day we've got to work towards the things. When we break down that film against the Bucks, this is what went wrong. We got to do that better against Chicago. So I would venture to say that no, they're not really, going to let that impact them. It's not going to make them get too excited. I'm sure that they're aware of it, but also just kind of on a periphery level.
Katie, in our last 30 seconds or so, here's Kessler Edwards stay in the rotation?
That's a really good question. I think the minutes that it affects right now is obviously Keegan Murray, but it's kind of how they're able to shift rotations. When Kessler comes in, it kind of moves Harrison to the 4. I think Keegan's minutes dwindling over the last few has way more to do with matchups than it does with maybe he's struggled shooting the ball a little bit. I think that's really more of the issue. If you're going to play defense at that level, And as you go deeper into the season and into the postseason, I would expect for Kessler Edwards to be in the rotation. But that doesn't mean that every game he's going to get 15 to 20 minutes. Some he might get 10 minutes. Some he might get 5. We'll see. It depends on the matchup.
Can you tell Dolly to relax?
No, I mean, she's having separation anxiety.
Apparently, that was her scratching earlier, I believe, like right after the interview
Yeah,
started.
she's not a small dog, so
she's not.
That you guys heard that.
Kayte adopts pretty much everything that she finds anywhere in her.
That's why you're my friend.
That's actually, you know what? That's a good comeback. Kayte Christensen, analyst for your Sacramento Kings, all around good person. We'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much. And listen, the chat always goes nuts. They're big fans of when you join us with the video and audio. So it is a little bit like herding cats. So thank you.
Okay.
Take care.
Well, my pleasure, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. It's Kayte Christensen. We'll take a break. I'll give her the point for that one. She won that round 10-9.
Yeah.
She did.
Yeah.